Oh. Hello, everybody. You thought I was done with the Markiplier voice, but we're just getting started.
Oh, no.
We are 4 shots into our and we're in part 2 of our wonderful series.
We just took a break there. I was saying I was feeling sicky, but here we are back again.
Here we are. I had some cheesy little bites of goodness.
What are they called? The garlic and herb cheese bites from Aldi's? Schmaldi's?
We're not sponsored. We just live near an Aldi's.
We just live near an Aldi's.
I had some hot chocolate because I like hot chocolate.
Oh my god, I just poured a giant shot again. I'm not drinking that whole thing. I'll do half.
No, you need to. It's in the cacti container.
I was so fucked up already.
Sucks to suck. You're the one that poured it. You have to do the whole thing. No,
Are you serious? You want to deal with that?
Yes.
Okay, fuck it. I'll do it. Fuck it. Fuck it. How much are you pouring? Don't spill. Oh god. What if you just like shattered the cactus?
I'm not gonna lie, that would be quite funny. Right, you ready?
It'd be funny for like a minute and then we'd have to take all the equipment off the table and clean it.
It's like pissing yourself. It's like glorious for like 1 second.
Oh.
When it's nice and warm.
I feel like pissing yourself is like horrific from moment one.
Clearly, you've not had good memories of pissing yourself.
The last memory I have of full-fledged like pissing myself, I had to have been like, I don't know how old I was. Like 10 maybe?
Oh, I was older than that the last time I pissed myself.
Well, I was playing Lego Indiana Jones for the Nintendo Wii.
Right.
And I was like, I think it was that game anyways. It was something like that. And I was like towards the end of a level and I had to piss so bad that I was doing like the pee-pee dance while I was playing. And I don't remember why I couldn't pause or what, but like I just ended up pissing myself while standing and playing the Wii. And then I immediately realized like, holy shit, this is gonna end so badly. And I like sprinted to the bathroom.
The last time I pissed myself, I think I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
I was coming home from high school and like I was at my grandparents' house.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to like go in and no one was in the front door. So I was like, fuck, I really need to piss. And I ran round to the back door and they had this like gate system in place where you had to like go through one gate and then another gate. And I got to the first gate and it wouldn't unlock. And I was trying so hard and I just fucking pissed myself.
That's brutal.
All over my fucking Ugg boots.
Oh, not the Ugg boots.
I thought it was fine. And then I went to school the next day wearing my goddamn
You didn't notice when you put them on? Dude. But also knowing you, that's a very you move.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I was sitting in my maths class and there's a girl sitting next to me being like, I live with a baby. Like, I smell piss. What smells like piss? And in my head, I was like, no.
That's devastating. That's so devastating. Did she know? Did she know it was you?
No.
Jesus. Thank God.
I kind of like played it off as it was someone else.
Oh, that's brutal, dude.
Yeah.
That's so brutal. All right, we taking a shot? Now that we've shared our piss
we've shared our piss stories.
I'd like to see CreepCast beat an opener like that.
I would like
sharing
to
our
see,
piss stories.
See CreepCast share their piss. I bet you would like to see
Those
CreepCast
stupid
share
fucking
their piss
knockoffs.
stories.
Fucking knockoffs. All right, you ready?
How do you like? I want to learn how you say.
Please stop slamming that down. That's gonna like explode. Stop.
I just like your face each time. It's like a disappointed parent.
All right, I'm gonna take this god awful shot.
So would you?
So would you? Fuck, man. Okay, I drank like 90% of that. I did enough. Fuck.
Okay, you did enough, but see the next time you pour a shot, you have to do all of it.
Dude, I'm gonna be so fucked up by the end of the night.
Amazing, wonderful. I love it when you're
God.
fucked up.
Okay. Shut the fuck up. I hate you so much. I apologize. What?
Usually I'm the straight man in these episodes. And
You're never the straight man. You couldn't be the straight man if a chiropractor laid you out on a board and fucking pulled you apart from the arms and legs.
Listen, I'm usually the straight, but I'm usually the one that tailors these jokes towards the straight and narrow. Not in this. I
apologize for the update, guys. Things have gotten a little crazy around here. It's a little crazy, Morty. I'm Arthur Morgan.
I'm Arthur Morgan.
And I'm not sure how often I'll still be able to update going forward. I really appreciate all the support you guys have given me. While I only have a couple of stories to share with you, I'll be interested in seeing what you all think. Should I read this first one or you?
No, I want to read it because it's my story and I'm the star of the show. A firefighter. A firefighter who was helping us at the training op told me about a call he'd gone on, supposedly to help rescue a kid from an absolutely massive tree.
Massive tree.
They said they didn't give him details, just that they needed him to come out and help because they lacked the proper equipment. He'd been called out specifically because this thing was so huge that the stars didn't feel safe trying to climb it. He'd been a tree trimmer before joining the VPD? VFD?
The very fucking department.
Wow. So it was easy enough for him to grab his old equipment. I wonder if that's the Virginia Fire Department.
The Virginity Fire Department. Fucking virgins.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna start that again.
Okay.
He'd been a tree trimmer before joining the VFD, so it was easy enough for him to grab his old equipment and come help out. He was led out about 2 miles and the team stopped at one of the biggest trees in the area and pointed up. He laughed and asked the op captain how the kid had gotten up there. He made some joke about the old cat in a tree thing, but the captain just shook his head and told him to get up there and get the kid down. He said he knew something was up, but didn't want to push it. He said that as he climbed the tree, he started wondering if they were playing a prank on him. There was no way this kid should have been able to climb this fucking thing. It was massive at the base. You know what else is massive at the base?
Shut the fuck up. Move on.
It was massive at the base, but about halfway up it started.
You're an idiot.
You know
You're a dumbass.
It's massive at the base, but halfway up. It was massive at the base, but about halfway up it started tapering. And I almost had to turn back a few times because I didn't really think it was going to hold me. But he said, keep going. And when he was just about at the top, he saw a flash of blue in the branches. I saw the kid's shirt sort of caught in a branch, and I called out to him and told him to come near me if he could, but he didn't say anything. I kept moving, calling the kid's name and telling him not to be scared, that I was there to help him. By the end I got to them, I knew he wasn't going to answer me. I found him, or what was left of him, cradled in the fork of a branch, and the fact that he was up there was sheer luck. If he'd fallen any other way, he'd have come crashing down. It wouldn't have mattered though, because this kid was dead long before he ended up in that tree. I don't know who put him there, or how, or why, but it was fucking sick. Kid's intestines had popped out of his mouth and were hanging in the branches. Oof. It was like some sick fucking Christmas tree, the way they were draped all over everything. I got a better look and saw they'd even popped out of his ass. His guts were hanging out of the bottom of his pants. His eyes were gone. I assume shoved out of whatever force caused them to pop like a stress ball. You ever seen a body that's been floating in water for a long time? How their tongues kind of swell up and stick out? His was like that. I remember because there were flies crawling all over him. I think it must have gone into shock because, man, I just pushed that kid down with a stick. I broke off the branch, just kind of poked him until he fell. I don't know why I did that. I almost lost my job because of that. But man, the thought of hauling that kid down over my shoulder the whole way, gathering his guts up and coiling them around me like rope, just so they wouldn't get snagged. I just couldn't do it. I've seen a lot of dead kids, more than I'd ever admit. I've seen a kid who hid in a full bathtub during a house fire, boiled him alive, turned him into literal soup. But this, I don't know what this did. but the thought of touching that kid's body made me feel like I was going to lose my mind. I heard him hit the ground, and I figured everyone would freak out. But they knew he was dead when they sent me up there. They didn't say anything, but they didn't shout or freak out or anything. I got to the bottom, and I started to get up in the captain's face, asking him who he thought he was sending me up there when they knew damn well the kid was dead. But he just told me it was none of my concern, and thanked me for getting the evidence down. I remember he said that. I remember it specifically because it was so weird to hear it phrased that way. The evidence. Like he wasn't even a person. Like he'd never been a little kid who got lost and had something fucking unspeakable happen to him. The captain had a crew lead me back out of the woods, but he and the other two stayed behind. And I thought it was weird. Why wouldn't they have me help the kid out? I tried asking, but the guys leading me out just told me they couldn't discuss an open case. I asked him what he thought had happened to the kid, and he got really pensive and thought about it for a bit. I would have to say a crush injury, based on how his guts came out like that. But with those injuries, you see massive contusions under the skin, obvious trauma. It wasn't like that. It was almost like that kid got caught in a big vacuum and had his guts sucked out. But even then, there was no trauma, none at all. It bothers me, man. It bothers the hell out of me.
Oof.
Well, that doesn't make it so funny.
Really brings down the mood, doesn't it? It's kids and their guts. Ay, ay, ay.
I think it's interesting that he almost lost his job over, like, pushing the kid out of the tree.
Makes
like,
sense.
I get it. Like you
can't just shove a body out of a tree.
I know, I get that, but also like, I feel like if he explained like, oh yeah, like I couldn't touch it, whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I get that he's a firefighter, but still. Also, like he didn't know it was a dead body when he was going up there. I think anyone would have been shocked at that.
Yeah, but that doesn't.
It doesn't excuse
Doesn't give you permission to shove him out of a tree.
I get that.
That's insane.
I know, but you know.
But yeah, one of the vets at the training op reads No Sleep. He recognized one of my stories. He knows me pretty well, and we swapped stories before. He asked if he could share something he's noticed about the stairs and some thoughts he had. Isn't it weird that he'd have coworkers that know about No Sleep and nothing's happened to him yet?
I think because there's no proof. You know what I mean?
I guess.
Like if there was a picture.
But the other guy disappeared just because he told him about the stairs.
I don't know necessarily.
And now he's passed on that information in like 20,000 times more.
I don't know if he necessarily disappeared as in something awful happened to him. I wonder if maybe he took his own life or something like that. Or maybe he just disappeared and never wanted to be seen again.
Why would he just out of nowhere though?
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
It seemed like he got like it was out of nowhere. He said, "Don't bring this up ever again." He clearly was sticking around.
But I don't think it's like the people who own the Forest Service or whatever. I don't think they're the ones who have done it. You know, I just don't buy that. You know.
Maybe.
Especially when like he's already like
maybe it was something in the forest that
exactly.
sent him away.
Especially like the guy who went up to the stairs. Like the most he got was, if you do that again, you'll get fired.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like
that's
not.
All right. He knows me pretty well, and we've swapped stories before. He asked if he could share something he's noticed about the stairs and some thoughts he had. I'm really glad he decided to share these. I think it's important that people be aware of what's out there, especially since the Forest Service is doing such a good job at covering it all up. See, they are covering it up. I asked him what he meant. What do you mean, what do I mean? The lack of any kind of media attention? No coverage of missing kids or bodies found miles from where they got lost in the first place? David Paulides hit this right on the head. The FS is doing everything they can to keep people coming here, even if it isn't safe. I mean, to be fair, it's not like these things happen every day, but the numbers add up and it's worth looking into. Especially the stairs. I was surprised he didn't mention the flipped ones.
Ooh, interesting.
The flip stairs. I didn't know what he was talking about. I couldn't remember him ever talking about something like that. He seemed somewhat incredulous. Dude, I can't believe you've been on this long and without seeing them. No one told you about them? I shrugged and asked him to elaborate. Well, there's the normal stairs, the one that pop up when they're out of ways. When we're out of ways. I know you know about them, but sometimes I've run across ones that are flipped upside down. I guess it would be like if you had a dollhouse and the stairs were a separate piece. Now take that and flip it upside down so the top step is stuck in the dirt and put it out in the woods. Yeah, it's a flip staircase. It's like a flip staircase.
I didn't feel like they really needed that explanation to go for it.
Picture it like a dollhouse with
Picture it like
smaller
a doll.
stairs, and then flip it over like regular stairs flipped over in a forest.
Picture it like a dollhouse. Now imagine that piece comes apart. Now take that piece and flip it upside down.
Yeah.
Now take that piece and stick it to the top.
But don't forget,
That's what it's like.
you're thinking of a dollhouse staircase? Scale it up to a regular staircase now. So it's just like a regular one that's flipped upside down.
Oh.
They're like that. I don't see them as often, but they're odd to say the least. Makes me think of footage taken after a tornado when all the houses are blown apart and random things are left standing, like chimneys and garden walls. Those ones freak me out more than the normal ones because I can't really write those off as easily. I don't scare very easily, like most of us who work out here, but that idea stuck with me, and it bothers me. I'm going to try and find out more about them. He also mentioned how many people were bothered by the guy with no face. He got really excited and told me he'd seen something similar. I was out on a training exercise a few years ago. I was camped out in my tent and I heard someone walking around outside the camp. We're told not to wander far, which, so I wondered if maybe it was a rookie who'd gotten up to pee and couldn't find his way back. Remember that guy in our group a few years back who almost fell off the damn mountain? Well, I'm paranoid about that happening again, so I got up to see what was going on. I went to the edge of the camp, and I called to whoever it was, and told them that camp was this way. But they kept going back out in the woods, so I called after them. I know it was stupid, but I was half asleep, and I just really didn't want to deal with some idiot getting hurt. I followed this thing on a dead straight course for about a mile, and then it stopped on the edge of a little river. I could see the outline of it because the water was reflecting the moon, and it looked just like an ordinary guy. He had a pack on, and it looked like he was facing me. I asked if he was okay, if he needed help, and he cocked his head like he didn't understand me. I always have my pocket knife on me, and it's got this little thumb light attached to it, so I turned that on and lit up his chest, so I wouldn't blind him. He was breathing slow and deep, so I wondered if he was sleepwalking. I went closer and asked him if he was okay. I moved the light up, and something didn't seem right, so I stopped. He kept breathing in real slow, deep breaths, and I sort of figured out gradually that that's what was bothering me. It was like he was pretending to breathe, but not actually doing it. His breaths were too even and deep, and all his movements were exaggerated, like his shoulders going up and his chest moving. I told him to identify himself, and he made this muffled noise. I moved the light up, and I shit you not, this guy had no face. Just smooth skin. I freaked out, and I sort of fumbled my light. But I saw him move towards me. But he didn't actually move. I don't know how to explain it, but 1 second he was at the edge of the river, and the next he was 5 feet from me. That sounds like the long step thing I took.
Yeah.
It's all the same creature, dude. It's just different accounts.
Interesting.
But that doesn't explain the beady eyes. Anyways,
No, yeah.
I never looked away or blinked. It was like he moved so fast my brain couldn't keep up. I tripped and fell on my ass, and I could see this line open up on his throat. It stretched up to his ears, and his head tilted back, and he smiled at me with his throat. There wasn't any blood, just this gaping dark hole, and I swear he smiled at me with a gash in his throat. I got up and ran as fast as I could back to camp. I couldn't hear him following me, but I felt like he was right behind me, even though when I looked back I couldn't see him. I calmed down when we got back to camp. The fire was still going, and I guess that pack mentality of being with other people made me stop and breathe a little. I waited by the fire to see if he'd follow me there, but I didn't hear anything else for a few hours, so I went back to bed. I know it sounds weird, but the whole thing was just so surreal. It was almost like I immediately wrote it off as my imagination.
I love that visual.
That was...
I really like that visual.
That's the first time I felt like genuinely scared. I heard a little thing over there, and I was like, fuck. Oof. That was great.
I wonder if it's not aggressive. clearly certain.
We haven't seen it do anything deliberate.
Yeah, like clearly, maybe there's some entity that is aggressive here.
It's
but
it's
not
almost
aggressive.
all people getting terrified and then getting themselves killed.
Yeah.
It's almost all that.
I that's what I was thinking. There's no really, even like most of the stories we've heard people disappear. We've heard kids
Hasn't even touched
die
anybody.
of exposure, but we've
Right.
never heard like anyone be brutally murdered, anything like that. It's
What about the
interesting.
kid who was in the rock crevice? Didn't have a scratch on him, missing his shoes. He was in a rock crevice that would have been impossible for him to get to.
Yeah, stuff like that. It seems like a burial place more than anything else, you know?
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah,
Maybe it put him there
Yeah.
after the kid died.
yeah.
Holy shit.
And if it's like an entity, clearly it doesn't understand English. Like if it's an entity that's maybe doesn't understand, like I understand maybe the account of the kid before that
Right.
being fed berries, maybe doesn't understand the level of like if kids get cold they die, like you know things like
You're
that.
so right.
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, got a big brain.
You got
up in
that big
here.
old honking brain,
Got that
dude.
big old honking brain.
That's what a great fucking. I hope that's what it is. It seems that way.
Yeah.
But then what are the staircase? So many questions.
I still, even with that review, I'm still on the idea of there's multiple entities. Because that doesn't explain.
It doesn't
like,
explain the beady
the bear
eyes.
man, the things like that. I think maybe there's like.
What if one's good and one's bad?
Maybe.
Because the bear didn't like the scar on the guy's neck.
Was that the bear?
The beady-eyed guy
Interesting.
didn't like. The scar
I
on the
imagine
guy's
there's
neck.
some that's gonna be like aggressive to other people, and there's some that's not gonna be aggressive to other people.
Maybe
you know?
some are good and some are like against them.
Yeah.
Um.
Well, I imagine it less like some are like against them, as in I imagine it more like some of these entities are predatory. Like
Sure.
they
They're
feed
just
on
like
people.
animals, kinda.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
That's what I would imagine.
Interesting. This is so fucking fascinating. So many questions. I love this.
Yeah.
I love everything about this. This is excellent. All right, go ahead.
We were telling ghost stories one night just before bed to scare each other and poke fun at whoever got creeped out. Most of the time it's the rookies, but one woman told a story that actually managed to get under my skin a little bit. And I know the same was true for others. She said it was true, but then again, every ghost story told around a campfire is true. Somehow though, I don't think she was making it up. It had that ring of truth that only really traumatizing events have. She said that when she was a kid, she and her friend used to go out into the woods behind her house a lot. She lived in northern Maine, where there's a lot of dense, unpopulated national forest. She said the woods up there aren't like they are here. They're so thick in places that the trees block out the sun almost completely. She and her friends grew up there, so they weren't scared of being out there alone, but they always maintain a sense of caution in certain areas. She said it was never really talked about, but they always knew not to go more than a mile or two beyond their homes. The adults never said why, but it was an unspoken rule that no one ventured out that far. She and her friends made up stories about bears as big as houses that lived out there, and they used to scare each other by hiding and making growling noises while the others searched for them. She said one summer there was a series of awful storms that blew down a lot of trees, and set one part of the forest a few miles behind her house on fire. Fire crews got it under control, but she said some of them came back not quite the same. It was like if they'd been to war. You could tell who'd really gotten scared because they had the same look on their faces. I think it's called shell shock. My friend and I said they were like Walking Dead people. They didn't smile or say anything if you went up to them, and most of them left town as soon as everything was over. I asked my parents about it, but they said they didn't know what I was talking about. Once everyone was told the woods were safe again, my friends and I decided to try and hike out to where the fire had been. We didn't tell our parents we were going, and it was pretty exciting to think that we were disobeying them like that. We hiked out about 2 miles or so, and we started seeing burnt trees and stuff. I remember my friend got particularly upset because we found a skeleton of a deer curled up under a tree, and I practically had to drag her away. She wanted to bury it, but I didn't want her touching it because its antlers were weird. I can't remember why. I just remember thinking that there was something wrong with them, and I didn't want either of us going near it. The further we went, the more burnt everything got. Eventually there was no standing trees, and it was just like being on another planet. Almost nothing green, just brown and black everywhere. We were standing there looking at it all, and we both heard someone shouting in the distance. I panicked because I thought it was my dad and he was going to tell me I was grounded. My friend broke off and went to hide behind a big rock because she said she didn't want to be caught out there. Her parents had forbidden her to come out into the woods at all, and she'd lied and told them she was going to a movie. I followed her and we kept listening. I could hear this voice getting closer, and I realised they were calling for help. I thought maybe it was some hiker who'd gotten lost and needed directions back to town. That used to happen all the time, so I was used to helping people out. I heard him following my voice, so I kept calling out until I saw him running in the distance. He got closer, and I could see his face was all red. I told my friend to give me her pack because she had a first aid kit. She made this noise like she was grossed out, and she asked if I saw his face. I told her to shut up, and I jogged up to meet him. I stopped about halfway, and when he stopped in front of me, I could see that his nose and lips and part of his forehead were all gone. It was like they'd been sliced clean off. He was bleeding bad, and I saw that the knees of his pants were red too. I took a step back, but I was too scared to move much, and he grabbed my shoulders. I felt like I got a shock, and he jerked back. He started babbling, and I couldn't tell what he was saying, except he kept asking how long he'd been gone. He asked me where his unit was, but I just shook my head. He looked me over and saw my Walkman, and he screamed. He just kept babbling and touching his face, and I realised he wasn't wearing the right clothes. He had some kind of weird grey cloth jacket and almost formal pants on. The jacket had these weird buttons with red borders on it. I kept shaking my head and told him I couldn't understand what he was saying. I went to open the first aid kit, but he just screamed at me again and said the only thing I could really understand. "Don't touch me. You'll make me go back there." After that, he ran off, and I could hear him screaming the whole time. When I couldn't hear him anymore, I turned around and my friend was crying. I turned around and started walking back towards town. She asked me over and over what happened and who that was, but I didn't say anything. When we got home, I told her I didn't want to play in the woods with her anymore. We're still friends, but we don't talk about that guy. Not ever. I'll update as soon as I can, as soon as I'm able to, guys. I appreciate the continued support.
Oh, see, that's just a whole other thing. That felt,
I felt kind of disconnected, honestly.
yeah, a little out of place with the time travel element, potentially.
The time travel element.
I don't know. What do you make of that?
I'm not gonna lie, I thought that one wasn't as interesting as some of the other ones.
Yeah, I kind of had that vibe too, but I don't quite know why.
I thought I just think that everything else is kind of like connected in the same forest. That's like,
Sure.
it makes it interesting because there's like interconnected elements, right?
Right.
So you hear similar stories and you think, oh, is that the same as this? Oh, that's a new thing.
Right.
But I think it's just the fact that it was somewhere else.
And it's
you know
like
what
a
I mean?
different type of.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see if it comes together.
Oh my goodness.
Part 6.
Oh my goodness.
You ready for
Sorry,
another shoddy?
A shotty watty?
A shoddy waddy?
A shotty watty?
A shoticus wadicus?
A shotticus watticus.
Shooticus woodicus? Wait. Shh. Everybody. Oh! Boys, that was delectable.
I wish I could do the Markiplier voice. No, I didn't like that.
Hello,
Get up and go away.
everybody. Welcome back. All right, that's a much more reasonable
Let's see.
shot.
Let's see. I want to see how much is in it. It's about half full. Were you a pussy?
Shut the fuck up.
Were you a little pussy?
Dude, I took a giant shot.
I've been taking giant shots this entire time.
I took a gigantic shot. All right.
So would you?
How much do you have? Let me see. I can't tell. It's too dark.
Wow.
Can you? What number of bump on the cacti are you at?
3.
3. I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. Fuck you. 3 is nothing. That's like way down there.
No, 3 bumps down from the top.
3 bumps
Silly.
down. I'm 1, 2, 3, 4 down.
Wow, you're a little bitch, huh?
Fuck you. Why are you such an asshole when you drink? Oh my god. All right, Soji, fucker.
Soji.
Yeehaw!
Right,
Rootin' tootin'.
you got to do the first one.
I'm down for a rootin' tootin'
sometime.
You going to the first one?
Morty. I'm Arthur Morgan. Arthur Morgan. I got tuberculosis.
Oh, interesting.
What? You're not reading ahead, are you? Are you reading ahead? Go back to the top. Fuck you.
I wasn't reading ahead. I was just looking at the thing that says it's going to be posted a little differently.
What? Where does it say that? Oh, the top part?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm about to read that. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
It's been way too long since I posted an update, and I'm very sorry about that.
There's also been some confusion about the new formatting requirements on the board, which I've cleared up. So these next few stories are going to be posted a little differently. This is my least favorite part of r/no sleep posts, is all the little like Reddit updates.
Yeah.
I
kind of wish we just skipped that, to be honest.
I wish someone would take these and put them into like a book as like short stories, so that it's not attached
you want to know
to the
something?
Reddit shit.
You
What?
want to know something, Jupiter? People do that.
I'm sure. Good. I wish they did.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
People in fact do that.
Okay. These next few stories are posted a little differently. They'll be in chronological order, so I'll do my best to tie them into each other as much as I can so it doesn't skip around too much. Whatever.
I kind of don't like it. I like the fact that it was kind of
Yeah.
loosey-goosey, you know?
No, that was great. It was like a random anthology. And it's
I'm
like
guessing,
it's up to the
though-
reader to put it all
I'm
together.
guessing, though, it must be just like an update in the way the rules of r/no sleep have changed.
Why would they change the rules to make it they have to be chronological?
I'm not going to lie, the rules of r/no sleep are pretty rigorous.
Dude, that sucks.
I know.
That sucks.
I'm not gonna lie. I was reading the CreepCast subreddit, and you get lots of people complaining about r/no sleep.
Yeah. We should make dumb no sleep. r/dumb no sleep. Subscribe, like and comment, subscribe up, dude. Give us all your Reddit popcorn awards. Give us Reddit popcorn. Thanks for the gold, kind stranger. Thanks for the silver. Oh my god, happy cake day. Happy cake day, everybody. Tomorrow's my cake day.
I'm not.
Can I has cheeseburger?
Is that a Reddit thing?
It's from like 10 years ago, yeah.
Oh, I'm not a Redditor, so I don't.
Can
know.
I has the narwhal bacon's at midnight?
Is that
Narwhal bacon's at... Yeah, this is a real thing. Redditors way back in the day said, if we meet other Redditors in real life, we need to have a code so we can tell each other who we are. We should all say the narwhal bacon's at midnight. Oh my god, that's the funniest fucking thing since sliced bread. Thanks for the gold, kind stranger. When I started out as a rookie...
your low schizophrenic episode is finished?
Yeah. When I started as a rookie, no one had told me a lot about the job in terms of weird things that could happen. I'm assuming this was largely to prevent me from freaking out and abandoning the park. But a few months into my service, oh god, I scrolled up. When I was still a rookie, a friend and I were drunk at a party.
Me too, buddy.
And he opened up a bit.
Yeah, I can get a little crazy out there, I guess. I think the worst are the ones where people die where they just shouldn't, you know? Or when we find them dead like 10 minutes after someone says they saw them last. They were fine when I passed them at the switchback, I swear, that sort of shit. Like, take this guy who I found out one spring out on a really popular trail. Someone comes into the VC freaking out about some guy who's lying in the middle of the path in this giant pool of blood. So we run out there and we find this guy dead as a fucking doornail, which he absolutely should be because the back of his head is smashed like the back of his head is like mashed potatoes. Okay. I was going to say smashed like a sack of potatoes. Right.
Good enough.
Back of his head smashed like potatoes. The skull is decimated. Brains are leaking out like custard filling, and the guy's old, so you figure, yeah, he probably fell and hit his head. Old people fall all the time. It's no big deal. It's custard filling. Except that this area where he fell doesn't have any big rocks. There's not even any stumps or big branches, and on top of that, there's no blood trail, so he clearly died where he dropped. Now that's when you'd turn to murder, but there were people just out of line of sight of the guy. If someone came up behind him and murdered him, there's no way someone wouldn't have heard. And again, even if someone had, there'd be a blood trail, spatter all over the place, but everyone on the scene said it looked exactly like he'd fallen and smashed his head on a rock. So what the fuck did he hit his head on? And then there was this lady I found in a different park about 5 years ago. Back when I was upstate. Why a different park?
Yeah.
Is this gonna go downhill like the other one did?
Don't jinx it.
Alright, well, I got a bad feeling about this. And then there was this lady I found at a different park about 5 years ago, back when I was upstate. We found her in the middle of a stand of big junipers, curled around the trunk like she was hugging it. We pick her up and move her like a fucking waterfall comes out her mouth. And a fucking waterfall comes out her mouth, splashes all over my shoes. Her clothes are dry, her hair is dry, but the amount of water in her lungs and stomach was phenomenal. Unreal, man. Coroner's report says the cause of death was drowning. Her lungs were completely full of water. This, even though we were in the middle of the high desert, and there isn't a body of water for miles. No puddles, no nothing. No signs of anyone else being out there. I mean, yeah, it's possible they were murdered. But why go out of the way to do it like that? Why not just stab them and be done with it? I don't know, it just sits weird with me. Now, of course, that freaked me out a little. But we were wasted, and I guess I sort of wrote it off as a fluke. I also assumed there was exaggeration there, since, we were wasted.
No, I don't like talking about this next case very much. It was an awful one that I've done my best to forget about, but of course that's easier said than done. This happened about 6 months after the conversation with my friend at the bar, and up until that point, I had a lot of really weird shit go down. A few things here and there, and of course the stairs, but it's amazingly easy to get used to stuff like that when it's treated as normal. This case was a little different. A guy with Down syndrome in his 20s went missing after his family lost sight of him on a major path. That was odd in and of itself because this guy never left his mom's side. She was absolutely convinced he'd been kidnapped, and unfortunately a ranger who isn't with the park anymore insinuated that no one was going to kidnap someone, well, with that kind of disability. Not very tactful, to say the least. We wasted a lot of time trying to calm her down enough to get information about him, and then we put on an official missing persons call. Because of the urgency of the situation, him being mostly unable to function alone, we had the local police come and help us. We didn't find him the first night, which was heartbreaking. None of us wanted to think of him being alone out there. We assumed he just kept wandering and was staying ahead of us. We brought out Hellis the next day.
Hellies.
We brought out Hellies the next day, and they spotted him in a little canyon. I helped bring him back up, but he was in bad shape, and I think we all knew he wasn't going to make it. He'd fallen and broken his spine, and I couldn't feel his lower half. He'd also broken both his legs, one at the femur, and he'd lost a lot of blood. He was confused and scared while he was alone, so he probably exacerbated the injuries by dragging himself a little ways. I know it sounds awful, but while I was riding in the chopper with him, I asked him why he'd wandered off. I just wanted something to tell his mother, to let him know it wasn't her fault, because he was fading fast and I didn't think she'd get to ask him herself. He was crying, and he said something about how the little sad boy had wanted him to come play. He said the little boy wanted to trade so he could go home. Then he closed his eyes, and when he woke up again, he was in the canyon. I'm not sure that's exactly what he said, but it was what I thought the gist of it was. He kept crying, asking where his mommy was, and I held his hand and tried to keep him calm. It was cold out there, he kept saying. It was cold out there. My legs were frozen. It was cold out there. It was cold in me. He was getting weaker. He was getting even weaker. And so he eventually stopped talking, and he closed his eyes for a while. Then, when we were about 5 minutes from the hospital, he looked right at me with these big tears running down his face, and he said, "Mama won't see me no more. Love Mama. Wish she was here." And he closed his eyes, and he just never woke up. It was horrible, and I don't like talking about it. That case was one of the first ones that really rattled me badly.
What do you think of that one?
Realistic? I think it's interesting. I think that's,
What about the little boy who wanted to play with him?
That's interesting. I think it's just it's maybe another entity in the park. I don't know. I think that's interesting. It would have been more interesting, I think, if it was one of the ones they'd already alluded to.
Yeah, that was my thought. It's like adding another one, and this one's not nearly as interesting as the others.
Yeah, I get that.
I don't know. This feels just a little too like goofy children's horror. Like,
Sure, I get that.
he's a creepy little boy. He wants to
There's
play.
a little boy out there.
I don't know. It's a little Five Nights at Freddy's core. Because of how badly it affected me, I reached out to a senior ranger. Oh, it's a continuation.
Interesting.
I reached out to a senior ranger and who ended up helping me through it. As time went on and we got to know each other better, he ended up sharing one of his own stories with me. It was disturbing, but it helped to know that I wasn't the only one affected by the things going on out there. I think this must have happened before you got here, because I think if it had happened while you were here, you'd have remembered it. I know it didn't end up in the news for some reason, but I think most of the people who've been here long enough know about it. The park sold off a portion of land to a logging company, and it was a really controversial thing. But it wasn't that large or old of a plot, and it was right after the recession, so we needed cash bad. Anyway, they were filling this plot of land, and we get a call that we need to get our supervisors out right away. I don't know why, but they ended up sending me and a few other guys along with the heads, I guess for power in numbers, to see what's up. We got there, and all these guys are crowded around a tree that they've just cut down. They're all pissed off and freaking out, and the foreman comes over and he says he wants to know what we think we're up to. What the hell y'all think this is? Some kind of sick joke? You've got a lot of fucking nerve pulling this shit. We bought this land fair and square. Well, we don't know what the hell he's talking about, so he just brings us over to this felled tree and points it out and tells us that when they cut it down, it was just like this, and they'll be damned if they put it there. The inside of the tree was all rotted out and hollow in one spot, and where they'd cut it down had exposed that chamber, and inside it was a hand. Like a perfectly severed hand, like the guy lost on the stairs.
Interesting. Okay.
And looks like it had actually fused with the inside of the tree. Well, now we think they're pulling a joke. So we tell them that we don't like being fucked with, and we start to leave. But when they tell us they've already called the cops and that they'll go right to the media if we don't stick around. But they tell us, yeah. Well, that gets the heads' attention, so they stick around and talk to the police about it. Everyone is denying that they put the hand in there, and besides, how would anyone have done it? It's clearly a real hand, but it's not mummified or skeletal. It's brand new, probably not even a day old. And it's definitely fused with the wood. You can see that it's coming right out of it. The loggers, they insist that they didn't put it there. Somehow, this fresh human hand ended up fused to the inside of this living tree. The cops have them cut up that section of tree into a movable chunk. Then they take the hand away and the area is closed off. There was a pretty big investigation, but I know they didn't find any answers. Now it's become this legend, and as far as I know, we haven't sold any more property for logging. That's interesting.
That is interesting. I think that probably must relate to the stairs in some way. Must relate to that. That's the only way it could.
I almost wish that this half of the story was told from like a different perspective or something. Because it's just such a different tone and feel and setting to me.
I think, at the start of this, it was like the guy said it's been a while, so I'm guessing he must have just come up.
Is it still? Let me see. 9 years ago, maybe it was nearly
maybe
a year.
a year later.
It does feel different. Yeah.
As you all know, I went to a training seminar recently, and I heard some amazing and horrible things there. One of the guys I talked to while I was there told me a story when we were all around the campfire one night. We were both pretty drunk, you'll see a pattern here, and we were swapping some stories. He told me this one. Me and another guy were out on a field search because some campers reported screaming noises at night. So we head out there to look for whatever fucking mountain lion has wandered into the area, and I'm pissed. We have had all three of them show up in the camping areas that year alone, and I'm getting tired as hell of constantly having to deal with them. Plus, I just don't like them anyway. What a cunt. They're just mountain lions, God. They're
This feels a little more mean-spirited and
Yeah.
less... The first part felt like more adventurous, I feel like. I don't know.
They're a pain in the ass and they're loud and they scare the shit out of me. Fucking cats, pieces of shit.
Bro!
Honestly. A little fucking pussy bitch. I'm groaning about it to the guy I'm with and he thinks it's a real fucking riot. So we're seeing all these broken branches and what looks like dens and we're pretty sure we know where this thing is. I call in and they tell me to confirm if possible, which just means basically they want you to step in a big pile of shit and use that as proof. I'm not seeing any though, so I basically just tell them to shove it. I'm done. We know the damn thing's out there somewhere, even if I'm not stepping in its shit or inside its mouth or whatever. Guy I'm with wanders off to take a piss or whatever, and I stay behind watching this little burrow under a tree to see if it's maybe a fox or something is living under it. Because I love foxes, man. Well, you love foxes, but you don't like cougars. They're cute as hell. Fuck off. But anyway, I'm watching the tree and I start hearing branches cracking and it's coming from the direction my partner went opposite of. Now, I've got my pencil, but you and I both know that's not going to do shit against a cat. I cock it up and holler for my partner to get his dumb ass back, but he's too far and he can't hear me. I stand up and get sights on where that thing is approaching and I shit you not, man. I just a bit peed myself. This guy is coming towards me and he's backflipping through the fucking woods. Like, instead of walking, he's doing these crazy fucking...
Bro.
I'm sorry, I can't.
That's a little bit too much.
I'm sorry, I can't. That's makes me laugh.
The guy who meowed was creepy. Why is this not? What changed? Something's different. Something's different. I can't quite put my finger on it.
I think it's just the way that it's been written, This seems more mean-spirited,
Why is he saying man so much? It sounds like a different person.
It is a different person who's
Get out of my head, man!
It is. It's in quotation
Get out of
marks.
my head!
It's in quotation marks. It is another person who's telling the story.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
Where was I?
He's doing the crazy fucking backflips.
The guy's coming towards me and he's backflipping through the fucking woods. Like, instead of walking, he's doing these crazy fucking backflips. And I swear to God, he cleared every fucking log and bush in his path. It was like he knew right where he was going. I yell at the guy to stop right there and that I'm pointing a gun right at him. But he keeps coming and I just kind of lose it.
Stop doing backflips! Stop right there! Stop flipping!
I shot at the ground in front of him and it was a dumb fucking thing to do. But man, I didn't want this guy anywhere near me. When I fired, he was about 50 yards from me, and as soon as the gun goes off, he whirls around and goes off, backflipping back into the woods.
Come on.
I'm sorry. My partner hears my gun go off and run back. He's just backflipping back into the woods. I can't with that. I'm so sorry.
It doesn't feel... All the other ones felt like right. It's too much. Also, we've dropped the whole like realism thing.
Yeah,
they're all fantastical
that's
now.
true. We'll see. My partner hears my gun go off and runs back and asks me what's up. And I tell him there's some fucking weirdo out there hopped up on God knows what and we need to get the hell out of Dodge. I let the cops know what happened and I didn't get any trouble for firing, but man, I don't know what that motherfucker was on, but I've never seen anything like that before. Shit was absolutely butt fuck crazy. This dialogue is not really doing it for me.
It's too much. I think we can agree that there's stuff going on out here in the woods. And while I'm not going to spout off about what it could be or offer any theories, what I want people to take away from all this is that it's so damn important to be safe when you're out there. Why did it turn into a PSA? I know a lot of you think you're invincible, but the fact is that you can die out there or be hurt or go missing. It's easier than you'd ever imagine. I apologize for this relatively short update, guys. I will do my absolute best to continue this series. He called it a series.
The series.
He wouldn't... as soon as possible. Thank you for all your continuing support. It means the world to me. Forgot to mention, these stories are also available on Tumblr. Search rescuewoods.tumblr.com.
Tumble?
Edit, part 7 is now...
How are you feeling? You think it should have ended at part 5?
This is part 6.
No, I know you think it should have ended at part 5.
No, I was asking.
No,
Honestly,
yeah.
I think it should have ended at part 4.
You think so?
I feel like, well, the reveal of the upside down stairs didn't do anything.
Yeah,
And there was the story with the guy with the
true,
PTSD that was completely disconnected.
Yeah, I think part 4 should.
I think part 1 through 4 was like the golden era. This feels a
would agree with
little. And I also just like, why rush it? Why do a short post like this?
So I would say, I get what you mean, but also I remember when I was a kid and like was writing stories and shit like this. Like sometimes I just got so excited about it that like I wanted to post. Like,
But they took their time on parts
Sure,
2 through 5. So like, why
sure.
why all of a sudden now
No,
get the short
5
one out?
was a short post as well.
Was it?
Yeah,
Well, whatever. 1 through 4 to me
was great. Yeah, that was like the golden.
That's 10 out of
age.
10. It's getting a little shaky. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm a little worried it's gonna go the route of the phone call one, where it's just like, you know.
I don't know if it's gonna go similar route to that, as in like I feel like with the phone call one, that's an issue a lot of horror stories have, you know.
I also I don't like the perspective out from these outside people.
No, I don't like it. I don't like the cases from outside the park. You know, I feel like that makes it
Right.
feel a little less unique.
And like it's happening at different parks
Yeah,
now.
like that feels a little strange to me. To me, if it was like, oh, this is all centered in the same
Right.
area, it's all the supernatural shit that's happening
Like-
in like the same area. That to me like indicates like, yes, these are all different fantastical things, but there's a connection there. That it's all the same area. If it's all everywhere, just out in the woods, that doesn't.
It's like a big creepypasta universe now.
Yeah.
And it's like it's so much cleaner when it's a contained story. It's just
Yeah.
getting a little too big. It's spilling over the edges.
Yeah.
And it's getting a little goofy. The little lollipop boy who wants to play and the I don't know. It's just not doing it for me anymore.
Another interesting question I have is I wonder if it's maybe it's one creature and it mimics people.
That would ruin it for me.
Yeah,
I think that would be so lame.
I get that.
I don't know. Especially if it's now turning into a little boy and backflipping.
And backflipping away into the woods. I'm sorry, that got me so much. I'm sorry, just like the guy meowing. Like I get that that's kind of funny on paper. Like I do get
But it was
that.
creepy.
But it was creepy.
That's the
It
thing,
worked
right?
in the
We commented
setting.
on that.
Yeah.
It's like, this is bizarre
But
and
the
goofy.
guy-
But like, it worked.
I don't know, the guy backflipping into the woods, that just like made me crack up. I don't feel like that's scary anymore, you know?
I'm getting like an error. I don't know why this isn't loading right.
It's loading. It's loading.
This is like kind of creepy.
Oh.
Oh. Wait, we're on part 7 now, right?
Yes.
Okay. That was really weird. It like
I can load
redirected
it
me to part
fine.
5, and then it gave me an error saying that it couldn't load, and then it refreshed without me doing anything.
You ready for another shotty watty?
Dude, I think this computer is haunted.
Oh my god, your computer is haunted?
Yeah. This is I wish you could have seen that. That was like actually kind of spooky. I'm not usually spooked out by
I don't
things, but that
believe
was kind
you.
of spooky.
Are you going to tell that person that was at your work?
Oh my god. Oh, now I have to explain the context of that.
The
This-
person
so
of losing ghosts.
At the place that I briefly worked at recently, there's everyone there believes in ghosts for some fucking reason. I just have to hear about it all the time. And there's this woman who tells this, and I repeat this to Azzy all the time because it's so fucking funny to me. There's this woman telling this story about how she kept seeing crazy things happening in her apartment. Like things were haunted, things were moving by themselves, and all this stuff, all this clearly made up bullshit. And then she's like, and then I found out the man living downstairs from me had been dead for a week. I think he'd been haunting me. It's like,
I think it'd been haunting me.
oh, bro, I'm so, oh my god, I'm
As
so
you can
over
tell,
it.
we don't believe in ghosts.
Fuck ghosts.
Well, maybe you'll change your mind because now your laptop is haunted.
I hope I get haunted. I hope I get haunted. They fucking asked me, oh, do you believe in any of this stuff? And I was like, no. And they're like, like clutching their pearls at it. And the fucking cook looks at me and she's like, oh, you will when it happens to you. And I'm like, yeah, fucking let it happen to me. It hasn't.
Any
fucking
ghosts,
bullshit.
any ghosts that are listening to this right now,
Oh my God.
I challenge you to haunt us.
There's like 800 million right here. Do you know how many people have lived and fucking died here?
Any ghost watching this video right now?
Do you know?
I
Do
challenge
you know
to
how
haunt
many
us.
human fucking beings have lived and died on this island? And the only things that haunt people are somehow from the last 100 years where we have newspaper clippings of them. How fucking stupid.
Maybe
How
it's like
fucking stupid.
maybe it's like a system where like ghosts only exist as long as people remember them, like in Warrior Cats.
Yeah, it's warrior cats.
I'm just
You're right. Ghosts work like in warrior cats.
They do. They work like in Warrior Cats. Star Clan? Oh my god.
Well, you should go talk to my coworkers.
I'm gonna tell them that it's just like in this kitty cat book I read.
They'll come to me. Oh my God, I read the new Warrior Cats.
Oh my god, I read the new Warrior Cats.
This book is clearly haunted.
Do you know that Peepaw is like talking to all the ghosts? There's ghosts in real life. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Look, man, Peepaw's as good of evidence for ghosts as any other fucking story out there. Get the
Right.
fuck out of here. If you believe in ghosts, fuck you in particular. Emily. Fucking asshole.
If you believe in ghosts, we're alienated you from this podcast. You're not
Get
allowed
out.
to listen to
Go
it.
away.
Go away. My grandma actually used to believe in ghosts, so I have like a soft spot for people who believe in ghosts.
Okay, well, stay for Azzy, I guess. Give us money. Pay us. Make us famous. Fuck you. Art is dead.
Art is dead.
Art is dead.
Sorry, when you said
People
that
make the money. How do we get those people's money? Art is dead. Writing drugs, smoke, cutting rose in his grave. His grave. His grave.
I think you're getting a little bit off
The
track.
show has got a budget.
You're gonna get
The
copyright.
show has
No, it's gonna
got
get
a
copyright
budget.
struck.
But all the money, with the money, won't budget.
Censor.
Cause I wanted my name in lights. Well, I could have fed a family of four for 40 fucking fortnights. 40 fucking
We're gonna have to
fortnights.
cut this, Thank God the shot silenced you. Saoji.
Oh, Saudi. When I could have fed a family of four for 40 fucking fortnights. 40
Alright.
fucking fortnights.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Please, God forgive me. I am an
Ladies and gentlemen. One of the topics that I get asked about a lot here and in real life involve things like the rake and the Wendigo.
The Wendigoon.
I was literally just about to
Wendigoon
say,
mentioned.
I was just about to say the Wendigo.
The Wendigooner.
The rake, the Wendigo. Damn it.
The Wendigooner.
The rake, the Wendigo, and other related legends.
Legend of YouTube.
I can't honestly say that I know a lot about them, but based on some light readings I did, I can say that I've heard stories that seem to be loosely related to them. You've heard the old adage that legends like that come from somewhere, and I'm sure that's true. But as you know, I do try to take things with a grain of salt. You have to out here. It's sort of like working in the hospital, I imagine. See? I said it. It's like working in a hospital.
Uh-huh.
I could spend all day thinking about how many people have died there and how there are probably ghosts or
If you're
whatever you want to
stupid.
call them all over the place. But it doesn't do you any good. It just makes it harder to do your job. I think a lot of us feel that way. And that's why we try to just go back to our work like everything's fine. Once you get paranoid, there's not really any going back. And a lot of cadets quit because of it. My park especially seems to have a high turnover rate because the cadets graduate and get so freaked out about everything that they just can't seem to let it go. You have to learn to internalize things and shut off. What amazing advice to give people. If there's something that you're anxious about, you just have to learn to internalize it and shut it off.
Just shut the fuck up. Be a man.
Yeah. I've talked to Katie a bit about her experience because I wanted to know what she thought about the Wendigo. She didn't really have anything in particular to say about it, aside from that she didn't want to think about it that much. She told me about a friend of hers that had something similar happen. I contacted this person, H, over Skype, and they agreed to talk to me a bit. They're aware of my work here, and they're fine with me posting the story exactly as they wrote it.
I grew up in Central Oregon, and there's a
Shout out. Shout out to Central Oregon.
Shout out to Central Oregon. Actually, I don't. Fuck Central Oregon.
You hate
actually.
Central Oregon? Do you not live in Central Oregon? Well, not
No.
now, but you know you.
Let's not get into this, shall we? Let's move on from that one. I grew up in Central Oregon, and there's a reservation called Warm Springs about 2 hours or so from where I lived. I only mention that because a lot of people in my area have friends there, and a lot of the land in that area belongs to that tribe. What tribe?
There's a reservation called Warm Springs.
Oh,
The reservation is
the
called
Warm Springs tribe.
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like I don't like the way this is going. I'm not gonna lie, but we'll see.
And it's a new location.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, we used to go camping up there. Not on the res, of course. The res, as the kids say. But in that area, I met a lot of kids who grew up there. I got to know one kid really well. His name was Nolan. And we ended up hanging out a lot when our families were in the area. Our folks got to know each other, so we'd all get in touch and camp out around the same time. We'd camp for about 2 weeks, so we were out there for a long time. I asked him if he camped in an RV. Yeah, my dad had one, so I guess it wasn't really camping, but we'd take our tents and stuff and set them up out away from camp most nights. Then why even bring the fucking RV? I didn't like sleeping in there because I like being outside. Me too. We talked for a bit about camping. This is formatted very strangely.
This is weird, yeah.
So anyway, oh, sorry.
You wanna go?
No, you go.
So anyway, sorry. 1 year, Noel and I were out there. I think we must have been like 12 or so. We wanted to go out and camp near the river because we wanted to try night fishing. I think we must have been about a third of a mile from the main camp, far enough away that we couldn't hear or see anyone else. I remember that. We were messing around most of the day. I don't really remember much about it, but we ended up building a fire at some point, and I was really impressed because he had this flint or something that he used to start it. I'd never seen anyone do that before, so I thought it was pretty cool. I got him to teach me how to do it, and we lit some stuff on fire, which, looking back, was really stupid because it was the middle of fucking summer.
You fucking pieces of shit.
And if I remember right, the fire warning was either at yellow or orange. But thankfully,
Some context for you. Oregon is like... Did you just fart? Some context for you.
Yes.
Oregon is like a big tinderbox during the summer. It's just waiting to erupt into flames.
Oh.
If you like sneeze wrong, you'll catch a forest on fire.
oh my god, really?
You're like banned from starting fires most summers.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
It's no.
Scotland is not like that. We just have rain like year round. Like it's so wet here.
Thank God. I get so wet here. Moving on.
Moving on. Where was I? But thankfully we didn't start anything major. And when it got dark, we sat around and talked about whatever it is 12-year-olds talk about. I don't really remember. What I do remember is that at some point he looked over my shoulder at the river and asked me if I could see something. The way our camp was set up, we were about 10 feet from the river. We were at the widest point, so it was probably about 20 feet to the other bank. It gets hot up there in the summer, but the water's still cold, which is important.
I look over my shoulder and I could see something wading into the river from the on the other side. From where we were, it looked like a deer, but we couldn't really tell because of the fire. I got up to look closer and I saw a pair of antlers, so I figured it was a buck. So definitely the weird antler creature, right? That was curled around the tree, maybe?
I don't know if that's connected.
We'll see. But I thought it was weird that it was wading into the water, and it was definitely heading for us, and I asked Nolan what he thought we should do. He's looking at the fire with this weird expression, and he tells me to sit down and shut up, so I do, because I'd never seen him act this way before. He's whispering at me to ignore it, and to just keep talking like we were, but I couldn't think of anything to say. He was saying something about an episode of some show, but I could hear the deer coming through the water, so I wasn't really paying any attention, and I just kept trying to see over his shoulder. But every time I did, he'd sort of hit me on the arm and make me look at him. I wasn't really scared, I remember, just sort of confused. But then I heard the deer come out of the water, and I could kind of make out what it looked like, and I realized it wasn't just a deer, because whatever it was walking on 2 legs. Wendigo. I started to get up. I was super freaked out, but Nolan just yanked me back down and talked louder about this television show. And I could tell he was just as scared as I was, probably even more. He leaned in and poked the fire with a stick, and he whispered, "Whatever I do, I can't speak to it." I could see it come closer, and it stood right behind Nolan's back. I was about ready to pee my pants, and I think I'd probably have run if I'd been alone, but I didn't want to leave Nolan, so I kept sitting really still and sneaking glances at it. It wasn't that tall, but the way it carried itself was just wrong, like its center of balance was screwed up. I can't really describe it, but it was kind of like it kept shifting too far forward. It just stood there behind Nolan for a long time, and eventually Nolan ran out of things to say, and we just kind of sat there in silence, and we just kind of sat there for a second. The fire was making noise, but I thought I could hear this thing talking in a really low voice. I couldn't hear what it was saying, and I leaned forward a tiny little bit, and I actually did pee my pants when it leaned forward too. I couldn't see its face, but I saw its eyes.
They were cloudy and milky, and if you want to know what they looked like, find that scene from Lord of the Rings where Frodo falls in the lake and all the dead people are floating towards him.
Ay.
I'm sorry, that was like a really cool scene, and I feel like this pop culture reference really just like came out of nowhere.
I feel like that's like the... sorry, no hate to the author, because you've done something really special here, but I feel like that's the laziest writing tool is like, watch this scene in a movie. It looked like that. I don't know.
So all I saw were these two white eyes floating above Nolan's head, and the really vague shape of antlers coming out of its head. I don't know what my face looked like, but at exactly the same time, Nolan and I fucking booked it out of there, and we ran non-stop until we got back to the main camp.
Back to pants.
Back
Back to a fresh pair of pants.
We ran non-stop until we got back to the main camp. My pants were soaked with pee, so I took them off as we were running back and threw them in the bushes. We both stopped. You were running?
How do you take off pants? I was just thinking that.
You were running?
How on earth?
And you like somehow take your... Okay.
Through his shoes?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
while
what the
he's
fuck?
running from a creature?
Okay.
Yeah.
We both stopped when we were at the front of my dad's RV and we couldn't see anything chasing us. So we stood there and caught our breath. I asked him what that thing was, but he said he didn't know. He said that his grandpa had only warned him that if anything ever came up to him when he was out in the desert, he was never ever supposed to talk to it or listen to anything it had to say. I wanted to know if he heard it talking to, and he said that the only thing he'd been able to understand was help you. I think we ended up sleeping in the RV with my parents, and the next night we went back out and we didn't see anything.
Hang on. Also, the other creatures so far were all original, right? Why are we just throwing in a Wendigo?
Also, that doesn't really sound like the Wendigo. Like, yeah, it's got the same, like, vaguely, like, antler-shaped, like, the same, like, kind of deer motif. That doesn't sound like the Wendigo, though. The Wendigo, you don't, like, not talk to the Wendigo. The Wendigo is aggressive.
I don't know. Maybe it
the
is
Wendigo
different.
has, like, an unrelenting hunger. It's based on, like, cannibals, you know?
Sure.
So it wants to just eat no matter what. That doesn't really sound like the Wendigo, but I thought that was really great. I thought they were doing really great things with it until they got the fucking Lord of the Rings reference.
Yeah.
And then my pants were soaked with pee, so I took them off
And
while I
it's
was
like
running from it.
The Wendigo just standing behind them and leaning forward, mumbling shit.
I thought that was really cool.
Really?
Like a lot of the, because I get they were playing off like the Wendigo stereotype. You're expecting it to do what a Wendigo does. That's not what a Wendigo does.
I thought it was cool
And I
when it
thought
was
that was,
approaching
yeah.
them, like swimming through the water, and you just hear it, and he's going, "Hey, pay attention." But once it's there, and it's just like
Whispering.
it's
yeah.
just like an old man
Interesting, yeah.
doing the Trump thing and leaning forward too far. It's like, I don't know.
That does remind me in a lot of ways of the Wendigo legend. There's a phrase used to describe it that I think fits perfectly, which is that the Wendigo is the spirit of the lonely places. I know sometimes when I'm out in the wild, where I know there's no one around me for miles and miles, I get this weird kind of craving that I can't really explain. I don't know if it happens to anyone else, but it's this desire to consume. It's not like I crave anything in particular, more this weird, distracting hunger that comes from every part of my gut.
Me when I smoke weed, am I right? Me when I have a little bit of the devil's lettuce.
Me when I have a little bit of the devil's lettuce.
Me when I'm a little high.
Wow. You just get this, like...
Morty, you gotta get high, Morty.
It's not like you crave anything in particular. It's just this weird kind of distracting hunger that comes from every part of your gut.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Real.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel kind of meh about this now.
Yeah.
I'm
We
just
gotta
kinda
finish
like,
it out, man. We got one part to go.
Yes.
I also wanted to find out more about the Faceless Man if I was able, and I found a few similar things. I asked around my circle of friends, and one of them said when he was going out doing repairs at a park in his area, he saw something kind of like that.
When we were having dinner in town, 5 of us, including myself, this guy was repainting an information booth and heard a man ask him for directions to the nearest campsite. He didn't turn around because he was up on a ladder, but he informed the man that there weren't any campsites nearby. But if he was headed down the road about 4 miles, he'd find one at another park. He asked if he could be of any other help, but the man said no and thanked him. My friend said he kept painting, but he was listening and never heard the man leave.
The second he came up and talked to me, the hairs on my neck stood up, but I wasn't really sure why. I just had this really uneasy feeling about the whole thing, and I wanted to finish painting and get out of there. I figured maybe part of it was that I couldn't turn around to look at him, but something just felt off. There was also this weird smell floating around before the guy even talked to me. Kind of like he shit his pants. Just kidding. Kind of like old period blood.
Old period blood? Like, why specifically period blood?
I don't know. I just really like sniffing old period blood.
Oh my god.
Smell I'm
I
familiar
love
with.
smelling that old period.
It's a smell I'm very familiar with, okay? Fucking stop asking questions. Stop asking questions about the period blood and the staircases, okay? I looked around to see what was causing it, but I didn't find anything. So I waited for the guy to walk away, but I didn't hear him leave, which made me think he was just standing there and watching me. So I asked again if I could do anything for him. And he didn't answer. I knew he was there, though, because I hadn't heard him leave. Yeah, you said that. So I did this awkward turn on the ladder to look down to see what he was doing. Now, I admit, it could have just been my brain fucking up. But I swear to you, Russ, for a split second when I turned around, that fucker didn't have a face. Like he had no face. That fucker didn't have a face like he had no face. Yeah. Yeah, that's what not having a face is. It was almost concave and totally smooth, and I just about McFucking had a heart attack because I couldn't even wrap my brain around what I was seeing. I think I started to say something, but there was this kind of pop inside my head, and suddenly he was just a normal looking guy. Oh no. I must have looked weird because he asked me if I was okay, and I was just like, yeah, I'm fine. He asks about the campsite again, and I point to where he has to go, and he's like, I'm not from around here. Can you help me get there?
He's painting. It's busy.
Now, this is when I knew something was really up, because there's no way this guy got out here and didn't know where he was. And for that matter, there's no car around, so how'd he get here in the first place? I said I was sorry, but I couldn't take him anywhere in a company vehicle, and he's like, please? I really don't know where I am, and can you come with me and help me get there? So now I'm seriously weirded out, and I start wondering if this is some kind of ambush or whatever. I told him I could call him a taxi to come out and take him where he wants to go, and I pull out my phone and he just goes, no, and walks away really quickly. Did he backflip away? But he doesn't walk out of the park, he just walks back into the fucking trees, and I go right back to my fucking truck and start to get out of there.
What's with all the fucking?
Fuck the pain or whatever.
Do you know like that South Park episode where they say fuck like 47 times and it starts to lose its meaning? That's what I feel like's happening here.
Your average Vivzy Pop TV show.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's all I think of. I looked in my mirror to see where he was, and as I was leaving, he was standing right at the tree line again. I don't know how he got there so fast, but this time, I know that fucker didn't have a face. He was just watching me leave, and right before I turned the corner to look, he was just watching me leave, and right before I turned the corner, he took a big step back into the trees and kind of dissolved, I guess. Got it dissolved, I guess. Yeah, whatever. Maybe it was just dark, so he blended in, but it felt more like he just melted away.
Do you know what it feels like? It feels like So when I read a lot of these stories before, it's like I know that it's a story being written,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of the time I can get like so caught up in the horror and stuff that it starts to feel scary.
Yeah.
This feels like I can't actually distract myself from the fact that this is something that's being written down and told. Like
And
I'm not scared of it because it's like maybe that would be scary, but it's like I can't actually distract myself from the fact that the writing is kind of standing out here as in like something that's not quite right, you know.
It's a little rougher. I don't know what happened.
I'm wondering that too, to be honest, because it's not like they're revealing too much. It's not. It just feels like
I think maybe it's just too over the top, and
Yeah.
they're doing too much. It's like
they're trying to.
they've added so
one-up
many characters and
themselves,
so
yeah.
many places and so
Yeah.
many creatures, and it's like this was good when it was really
Maybe
small.
it just feels like maybe it's something that is going on for too long.
And we just haven't mentioned the stairs in a while. And
Yeah.
I don't know. That just ruins the No Face Man for me. It's like it was terrifying when he was just.
Oh, it doesn't.
The guy saw him. He ran away. He barely got to see him at all. He heard him screaming all night. That's epic.
For me,
And now he's just like going up to a
yeah.
guy who's painting and having a conversation with them, and then watching him from the tree
For
line.
me,
Like, it's
I've just
goofy.
like decided that 1 till 4 are canon,
Yeah.
and these are just like. It's not that they're not canon, but these are just other people telling stories that may or may not be true. You know,
for
It's
me
not the
they're not
actual
canon. This is SpongeBob season 4 onward. This is a little rough.
All right, you want to read the next little part there, and then I'll go from there.
Interestingly, right after that guy finished his story, someone else piped up with another one, but with a slightly different twist.
You know, actually, I had something sort of weird like that happen a while back. I was out doing some trail scouting, and I was out in the middle of nowhere figuring out where we were going to have this trail run through. I hadn't seen anyone else for probably a good 2 hours, so I wasn't really paying attention to where I was going. I was just sort of looking at the ground for the most part. Then out of nowhere, I crested this little hill and almost ran into this guy. He was older, probably in his 60s, and I started to apologise for running into him. And then I noticed his face. And I probably looked like a complete douchebag because I stopped and just stared at him. It took me a second to figure out what was wrong, but this guy's face was huge. What do you... I know-
Mr. Boss? Hey
I-
guys. Thanks for bringing me my paper clips.
I know that sounds weird, but that's the only way I can describe it. His head wasn't big or anything, it was normal, but the amount of space his face took
Mr. Boss.
his face took up was just way too much.
Oh,
Like
his face is bigger.
Yeah, just his face, like his facial features is what I imagined. Like his head is the normal size, but his facial features are just like anime character size, you know?
Oh.
Like an anime character's eyes with Wendigo lips. His head wasn't big or anything, it was normal, but the amount of space his face took up was just way too much. Like if you took someone's face and enlarged it by about 2 times. He doesn't say anything, he just kind of looks at me, and I backed up and was kind of stuttering, and I was saying sorry. And I went around him and fucking got out of there and did what I needed to do. This whole time, I kept looking behind me because I was so freaked out that he'd pop up behind me or something. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I swear to you, it was one of the creepiest things I've ever seen. I switched the topic to the stairs a little later, and there was a definite shift in enthusiasm. No one spoke up at first. There's a real stigma around discussing them, even when we're away from work. But I broke the ice with a story of my own, and the guy who told the story about the faceless man told this one, albeit very quickly.
Couple of years ago, I was camping out with my girlfriend. We were about 2 miles from the road at this site I know. We went to bed that night, but we couldn't sleep because someone interjected a funny comment. We were dangerously close to going off on another subject, but I got us back on track. We don't get to hear the funny comment?
I was about to say that seems like a weird interjection.
Feels like a
you know?
placeholder.
Yeah.
Someone interjected a funny... Okay. What's the funny comment? Because your mom was there. I don't... Like, what's
Oh, we
the...
couldn't. It's like because we were fucking too hard.
Yeah. Yeah, Jerry.
Yeah, I fuck women.
Ha
and
ha, Jerry,
what?
good one. Yeah, real funny, you fucker. I at least I heard the joke. No, it was because we kept hearing that grinding noise, and it wasn't my mother. I don't know. My brother used to grind his teeth in his sleep, and it
kind of reminds me of that. My girlfriend was freaking out, but I just kept telling her to ignore it because I've heard it before and you just have to ignore it. But they're out in the middle of nowhere. What does he mean?
It's
He
from the
knows-
stairs, the grinding. We've never heard that before. I think that's strange. The stairs make a grinding noise?
Maybe when they're coming in or out of existence? I don't know.
Interesting.
It goes away eventually, but you guys know what I mean. We all knew what he meant. So eventually I got her to go to sleep, but I woke up probably 2 hours later because something was just off. I rolled over and she wasn't there, and I kind of freaked out because he thought for a second and then he took a very long drink. Glug. Glug.
Yum, yum.
Glug. Anyway, I ran out of the tent calling her name, but I really didn't have to go far. She was standing at the edge of the camp looking at something in the trees. I could see she was really pale. The fire was low, but bright enough to see her. Anyway, I ran up to see what was going on, and she was dead asleep, but her eyes were open. She had this really spaced out look, you know. So I put my arm around her to take her back, but she wouldn't move. She just said really quietly something like, "I have to go now, Eddie. I have to go. It's here." I was like, "You're just sleepwalking. Come back to bed, dumb bitch." But she wouldn't budge. She just kept standing there and saying that she had to go. And I looked at her, and I looked where she was looking, and there was a fucking staircase right there about 15 yards away. Gray one, concrete. And she started to walk towards it, but I yanked her back, and that woke her up. She looked at me like I was fucking out of my mind, and she asked me what the fuck she was doing out of the tent. I didn't tell her anything. I just told her she was sleepwalking. The grinding was gone, so she just went back to her tent with me and fell asleep again. I don't know. I don't like thinking about it, you know?
We all knew.
I actually I like that one as opposed to some of the other ones. I thought that was pretty good.
I don't know. I'm still
Even
not feeling it.
I don't think it quite compares to some of the other things we've heard about the stairs, but I think that's interesting, like that concept of like maybe it draws you to it.
So in the first 4 stories, whenever there was dialogue from someone else, it seemed like a guy. And these all seem like the same frat bro.
Yeah,
like every one of these
I get what you mean.
are like
I
a sleazy drunk
really
frat
get
bro.
What you mean.
Why? That's really putting me off.
Yeah. You want to keep going because I think this is the same guy talking.
You guys remember that kid with, I can't remember what it was, some kind of brain fuck up, not Downs, but something like it.
Some kind of brain fuck up. Jesus. Someone else brought up.
Well,
Someone else brought up. Okay.
Oh,
it's a different guy talking.
You want me to take this one? You guys remember that kid with, I can't remember what it was, some kind of brain fuck up, not Downs, but something like it.
Why are they all meatheads?
I was gonna say this.
Everyone's a meathead all of a sudden.
I don't know. This is strange. Anyway, let's just skip through this. You guys remember that kid with, I can't remember what it is, some kind of brain fuck up, not Downs, but something like it. Someone else brought up. Well, I got to read this report he gave when they found him a week after he went missing. It was fucked up beyond belief. I mean, you have to take it with a grain of salt because who knows what that kid actually thinks is real, but some of this stuff I don't think he could have made up.
like what?
Well, first of all, he talks about the stairs. He said he'd been watching his dad build a fire and the stairs came up to him. And he had to go up them or something bad would happen.
Oh.
The cops couldn't really understand what he was talking about after that, but he just kept saying, like the campfire, over and over. He kept mentioning sounds, but he couldn't say what sounds, just that it was loud, and he covered his ears so he couldn't hear them. But the thing I remember most is they asked him where exactly he'd gone, and he said he was just right there. He just kept pointing at himself, because they said they thought they meant that he thought he'd never left. He said he wasn't scared because the stairs were there, and he said they talked to him, but not like people talk. Like I said, it was really convoluted and hard to understand, but I have a feeling the cops didn't take most of it down. They ended up just saying the kid had some kind of amnesia or fugue, and they didn't think foul play was involved. Doesn't really explain why he came back a week later perfectly fine without a speck of dirt on him and well fed. But hey, what the cops say goes. What the cops say goes. There's still a lot of questions I want to answer. I'll continue to ask around and find whatever I can. The next update should be soon. Thank you for being so patient. You can also find me on Tumblr on searchandrescuewoods.tumblr.com. I don't know.
The whole thing that was cool about the stairs was that they're just there. And nobody knows anything. They don't do anything.
They don't do it. Or
You're
they
just
might
told
do something.
not to go.
Yeah.
But now the stairs are waking people up and possessing them and coming at you.
I don't know. I just
fuck
think that makes it a lot less scary. This last one is really short.
It's like
as well.
they were just copy pasted from a house to the woods, and that was it. That was it. And one guy went up and he felt so fucked up from it that he just didn't do it again. Like, that's epic. And now this is like,
yeah, I don't know.
now it's like the stairs are a video game character that if it sees you, it'll take you over.
Yeah, I don't know.
That.
I feel like episode 4, part 4, or whatever was the last good one. Everything since then has been. It's like he took a break from this and really tried to like one up what he wrote about last. You know what I mean?
You think so?
That's what I feel like. He took a break from this.
He took a break, but it's like it almost feels like a different writing style entirely.
I get what you mean. It really, really does.
It's like a different author almost.
It almost does feel like a different author. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like, the way things were written in the first 4 chapters were like, the guy who's writing about it, it's scary what he's telling, what he's writing about, but it's also written very matter-of-factly.
Did
You know
No
what I
Sleep
mean?
ruin this? Is this their fault? Is there some kind of
No,
rule that made it so that he had to make it shitty?
I don't think. I don't know exactly what's happened here, to be honest. But I don't know. I wonder if it's just that like a big break has happened and he just like doesn't have it anymore. I don't know. I could not say, but I just feel like this is not as interesting. But anyway, let's get into the last one here.
The
You wanna
final
start us
part.
off? Wait.
What?
We're missing something here.
What?
We didn't take a shot.
I know. I just opened the final part.
Oh.
We're gonna get it now. All right, hang on. I gotta grab.
Piss.
Okay. Well, I gotta grab a drink too. So, perfect.
Oh.
Ugh.
I'm so disappointed. I thought this one was gonna be great.
I thought so too. One day.
I'm so shocked the writing style wet the.
Oh. Boys.
Boys.
All right, I'll do a big one
A big one.
to get me through this fucking shit.
By the looks of this, last part isn't very long.
Really?
so-
Oh man.
Don't you worry.
Uh,
You ready?
things have deteriorated here to a degree I didn't foresee. You don't say. All right. Well. Last shot of the night, boys.
Cheers to you.
Here's to dumb CreepCast. So would you? Ugh.
Oh,
How you feeling?
I actually feel fine. I
Huh?
actually feel fine.
I'm actually, yeah, I'm not as crunk as I thought I'd be.
That's because you had your cheese bites. You
Did I fuck myself with the cheese bites?
You didn't Take another shot then. Go on.
Fuck it, man. Fuck it. One more.
Well, I actually didn't expect you to do it, but there you go.
Whatever.
And peer pressure always wins.
Remember, kids, pressure your friends.
Remember, kids, peer pressure is always a good thing.
Yep.
I feel like flinching just seeing you drink that.
It's for the show, man.
It's for the show.
Get out of my head, man.
I didn't take another one, but should I take another one? No. No.
You were feeling sick earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
maybe,
So,
maybe not.
right, you want to start us off here?
Oh. This will be my final update for now. Things have deteriorated here to a degree that I didn't foresee. I don't know how I didn't know how much writing about the things that are happening out here would affect every single part of my life, and maybe that was stupid of me. Maybe I should have considered it more seriously, but honestly, I just thought I was writing about things that a few people would want to hear. I didn't think that it would get this much attention. You know that they've covered everything up and shut down any media about it and intentionally want people to keep coming to the park, and then you shared it publicly after everybody has told you not to. Of course something. What?
People ask me about the stairs now. It doesn't happen every day, but when it does happen, I never really know what to say. My bosses know someone is talking about them, and I'm sure if they know, the higher ups know. And I can tell you they aren't happy about it. I've been formally told that I'm not to speak a word about them to everyone, which is part of the reason this has to be my final update. I can't risk my job for this. As much as it has been wonderful to get a lot of these things off of my mind, I still do love my work, and I need to be out there.
Why isn't he fired? They've done much more to cover up much less. He's just spilled everything.
The
He
thing is
spilled
as well,
all the beans.
Like with Reddit, like maybe it's anonymous. I don't know.
But they all know it's him because the coworkers are asking him about it, and they told him to stop. They said that his job's at risk or whatever.
Well, it just says my boss knows someone.
My
talking about
bosses
them.
know someone. But his coworker, I don't know. Whatever.
If anything, my being aware of what's really going on is enough reason to stick it out. I may not be able to tell people that they're out there, but if I see them, I can direct traffic away to somewhere safer. Because of the amount of tension the stories have gotten, I've heard a lot of the stories being swapped back and forth. I've heard so many I can't even remember most of them. The ones I do remember are the ones I wish I could forget.
One story that's made the rounds here was about a young woman who disappeared upstate. Initially, everyone assumed she was a runaway. She didn't come from a great home life, and so it wasn't really any kind of surprise that she chose to cut and run. But people started coming forward saying they'd seen her around the park shortly before she vanished. So some of the rangers in the area went out to make sure she hadn't hung herself or something on any of the back trails. That's an escalation. It took them a while, but they did find her. Well, not all of her. Just half of her tongue and a quarter of her lower jaw. That was mentioned before.
Interesting.
Very clean cuts from what I heard. They've never found the rest of her.
So many stories about children. So many of them going missing and turning up in caves, wedged in between impossibly tight spaces. So many of them found on mountain peaks or at the bottom of sheer gullies, missing shoes, missing socks, or found with both in perfect condition despite them being miles and miles away from where they vanished. So many stories of black-eyed people wandering around the woods and calling out into the night, mimicking the sound of running water or a bobcat screaming. Interesting about the bobcat screaming. One man in particular goes to every news station he thinks will listen to them and tells the same story. He was deer hunting, had camped out in a very remote area, and woke up because something was scraping against his tent. He thought it was a raccoon or a fox until the thing pressed its face against the door of the tent, at which point he could very clearly make out a human nose and mouth. He kicked at it, but it leaped back and was gone by the time he opened the tent flap, gun at his side. He fired 2 warning shots, and when the sound had faded, he heard a snap behind him. A man was standing at the edge of the campsite. This man was not wearing any clothing, but he also didn't possess any kind of human flesh, as the hunter described it. This man was made up of some kind of amalgamation of raw meat and hair, as if someone had scooped up roadkill and moulded it into the vague shape of a man.
The bear man?
The face was lumpy and only a round approximation of a human face. This thing opened its lopsided mouth, and from it came the sound of the gun the hunter had fired. It did this twice before mimicking the sound of the tent zipper and fleeing into the night. These are cool visuals.
That's kind of cool. Yeah.
I was gonna say, these, from the start, really cool visuals. I don't know what's happened. It seems like it's come back a little bit.
We'll see. I like the... Yeah, everything about that
love
creature.
that.
And
I
it
love
ties
that.
back into the bear man.
Yeah, the amalgamation of raw meat and hair. That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
I can imagine that in my brain.
And the mimic of the gunshot.
Ooh,
and then the tent zipper.
Yeah.
Like something so jarring and something so inconspicuous back to back. That's kind of cool.
Interesting, yeah.
I like that. A young couple out for a hike in the rocky areas of my park reported to me yesterday that they had seen something strange out on a peak I'm very familiar with. They were taking turns looking through a pair of binoculars when the man noticed a hiker climbing up a very steep part of the cliff face. He watched the man scale the slope, and it didn't occur to him until the incident was over that this person had no climbing gear. When the climber reached the top of the peak, which was about 5 miles away, they turned and faced the young man. He said whoever or whatever this person was looking right at them. The climber waved in an exaggerated manner before snapping in half at the waist sideways and leaping off the peak.
That's really
Which
cool.
half of him leaped off the peak?
That's really cool. I'm not gonna lie.
But did the
Oh, I imagine that he doesn't like literally snap in half. I imagine it's like someone who's standing upwards and then he snaps in half. Like he goes to the side, like all the way down, like that. Like his bone, like his spine just cracked in half, and then he jumped off.
Oh, I was picturing like his top half and
It just
bottom
like
half
came
jettisoned
attached.
apart,
Yeah.
and then the legs like
Yeah,
hopped
yeah,
off
yeah,
the
yeah,
cliff, and the top half just flops
This
like
is
a
really
fish.
cool. Like this feels like the first four chapters.
Yeah, I'm way more on board.
Yeah.
Than I was a second ago. The young man didn't see where the climber landed. I sent them on their way with assurances that I'd check it out. I lied. I won't be turning in a report because there are 10 others exactly like it. The climber is well known in that area. I don't question it anymore. That's great.
Look
That's
at
really
this.
great.
Like I'm so surprised that like how has this come back after so much time? Like this feels like genuinely really interesting.
Yeah.
There are so many things I won't ever be able to understand about my job, and it would take me years to relate all of the things I have heard about in the last few months. When I feel like my job isn't in jeopardy, I will come back. It may be in a different format, but I will come back. Thank you all for sticking by my side and enjoying the things I've talked about. If you go into the woods, I encourage you to be safe. Bring water, food, survival equipment. Let people know where you're going and when you'll be back. Don't go into uncharted paths unless you know exactly what you're doing. And above all, don't touch them. Don't look at them. Don't go up to them.
I was just going to say, is he trying to tease a book? But then I read the edit. I realized I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning. The series is being paused, but the story is going to live on. A book is in the works. A first draft is coming along very nicely. Keep a lookout, no sleep. Edit 2, if you'd like to keep updated on the progress of the book, follow me at searchandrescuewoods.tumblr.com.
I loved that ending. That ending was really good.
But
The
it was
last-
so
yeah.
short.
Yeah, I know it was really short.
That was the quality of writing that is consistent with episodes 1 through 4, but
I
it felt
don't
more
mind
like
if it was that short.
it felt more like a teaser for what he's writing next.
Yes, but also at the same time, I don't necessarily mind that.
No, I wouldn't have minded that if it had come straight after episode 4. But
I agree. See, if episodes 5 through 7 were cut and this was the end,
Right.
I would have been so much more. Especially with the guy, like, you know, speaking about the guy who told him about the stairs, and then he suddenly goes missing, and then this was prefaced with it. I feel like that would have been much more powerful. The episodes 5 through 7 really kind of were muddy,
Right.
and then it came back towards the end, which confuses me because it's like, even the way this is structured, the sentence structure, or remind me of the first 4 episodes.
Yeah.
You know, it really
the way
feels
it's
like,
a collection of stories.
Yeah. No, not even the fact that it's a collection of stories, because the other 3 parts I was talking about were a collection of stories. But the way that it's written, I don't know, the way the sentences are
Yeah.
structured,
You mean it's not told through the mouths of frat bros?
I just don't know. It really feels like to me the episodes 5 through to 7 were written by a different author.
It kind of feels that
It, like,
way.
genuinely, it really feels that way. And then this is back to the original author. I don't know what it is. This was a perfect ending to me. Yes, it's short,
Yeah.
but this to me was a perfect end.
It just if this was part 5,
I'm
would have this would have been a 10 out of 10 the whole way through.
Yeah, I'm so shocked because it just seems like, I don't know. I get that he's describing other people's interpretations of
But
things.
they're all
and
the
their
same meathead frat
Yeah,
bro.
and that
they,
didn't-
and all their stories kind of suck.
Yeah. And then even when this author was describing other people's stories, you get the other two people who were talking. It didn't seem like that. And then parts 5 through 7 kind of like had the same account. It kind of like, if they didn't specify in the text that another person was talking, like I even said when I was
Right.
reading it, I thought it was the same person
Right.
talking from the way they talked.
Right.
I don't know. This is so strange to me, and then the fact that they pulled it back so much at the end is like so confusing.
What's
'cause
the motivation even? Like I
I don't know. I'm just so
'Cause
surprised they pulled it back at the end.
Part 7 was the super short one, right? Like it didn't feel like their heart was in it.
No,
But
it
now it feels like
didn't.
their heart is fully in it.
Like really genuinely it does. And I get, like, I'm not gonna lie, this person like wanting to write a book series and promote that, I'm fully on board
Oh
with
yeah,
that.
yeah, no.
The
Use
fact that
use No Sleep to launch a career.
If you've got this and you want to
Yeah.
launch a career off it, absolutely do that.
Yeah, go for it.
I think this was the
Get your
perfect
money.
end, and I'm just so surprised because I was really expecting from the quality of 5, 6, and 7 for the ending not to be so good, and the fact that they've pulled it so much back in at the end, this ending feels so tight.
Yeah,
It just feels like really, really powerful. You know, it feels
just-
like it
it's-
has that same quality.
it's like
even when-
bittersweet to me, right? Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just wish there was a better lead up.
Absolutely, I totally agree with
if
that.
we just cut out completely any reference to 5 through 7 and this was the new part 5, 10 out of 10 series all the way.
I just really wasn't expecting like it to come so
Right.
much, so like to go back to that quality of writing, because that almost never happens, right? It almost never happens that like it. Usually you see horror stories.
Usually
like
just flounders and
it's
dies.
common. It's really, really common for a lot of horror stories to flounder towards the endings.
Yeah.
It makes sense. They set themselves so far up and they want to one up themselves. I get that. That happens. But for that to happen and then it to come so much into the end, like where this to me is perfect. This is a perfect end. The slight like going back to, oh, my superiors have kind of found out about this. This is why it's the last update.
Right.
And then just going into describing sort of the weird hiker and the stairs and sort of like subtle ways. It just, I don't know. It's really, really good. Just half her tongue and a quarter of her lower jaw.
And
You know, like leading back.
Isn't that the
know?
first tie back in those 4 parts?
First tie back in the last 4 parts, yeah. It really, really feels like, I wonder if a different author wrote parts 5 through 7.
That would be so strange, though.
I know it would be strange, but it feels like it's really drastically different.
It is, but like, why would they? Why would they hand
Mm.
it off to somebody?
I wonder if it's maybe like a duo who's written it, and like just some other person who's like one of the duo has stepped up and done that. I don't know. It just feels so drastically different to me. The fact that it came in so tight at the end like this.
Do you have to be signed into Tumblr to see pages? Because I went to searchandrescuewoods.tumblr.com and all it is the title.
It's okay.
There's no like anything. And then
I'll look it up because I have a Tumblr page because I'm
all there
still
is
stuck
home
in...
and ask, and then there's nothing.
Let me
So
see.
did this like get abandoned?
I wonder.
Because he doesn't update.
Yeah. There's no content on this Tumblr.
Damn. So he just took it
Interesting.
off. That's a shame.
That's interesting.
So there was probably never a book then?
I wonder. Let me search it up. Search. Yeah. I don't see any no, but I don't see any I don't see any particularities or like even just searching search and rescue Reddit book.
That's a damn shame because I would have loved to read that book. Like this
Me
is
too, genuinely.
thing,
I
right?
would have got that.
1 through 4 in this part out fucking standing.
I'm
want to
just
see
so
more.
shocked. I'm so shocked. I feel like it's so common to see a horror thing slender at the end. And I sort of have an understanding of that, right?
Yeah.
I get when authors like psych themselves up, especially horror authors. I feel like it's so popular in the horror genre for things like this to happen. And I sort of get that. I sort of expect that to an extent. And when the endings don't live up to the initial first half, I get that. I expect that. But for it to come back so much at the end, it's just so surprising to me. I don't know. That's the part that gets me. It feels like that author really still has it in them. I don't know. I'm just kind of shocked, to be honest. Like, I was so just expecting it to be shit, that last part, you know?
Oh, he's posted on Reddit recently. It says
really?
Patreon back up and running. If you'd like to help fund future updates to the SAR series,
Ooh,
this is how you can do it.
interesting.
Nice.
I think we should check that out.
Everybody, go check out this Patreon.
Check out this Patreon. I want to,
for real.
support them on Patreon.
We'll link it, and it's www.patreon.com
I'd love to see this book be published. I think
/C/search and rescue woods. Go check that out.
also, looking at them, it looks like they've got some other stories, so I'd love to cover some extra ones. I'll have a little look through them, see if there's any that's worth. Oh, interesting. Looks like they're a fan of Meat Canyon as well.
I just saw that. Yeah.
Interesting.
All right. Awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I keep doing what you're doing.
Please
this is
do.
fucking incredible.
I hope if they have an opportunity, they should write that book.
Yeah.
I would buy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that's
in a fucking heartbeat.
If that's the quality of writing that's being expected, absolutely.
No, I'll tell you what, if we get YouTube famous, we'll fucking fund you on Patreon, buddy.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Once we're not living paycheck to paycheck, we'll be sending you all our Patreon dollars, all right?
That was a fun episode.
Yeah,
I really, really enjoyed that part.
I think
the 1 till 4 and the last one, really, really good. My favorite that I've read so far.
We'll see when I'm not Dirk, but I think these were our 2 best episodes yet.
No,
For sure.
hey.
Yeah. We'll see. But hats off to us, all right?
I
Am I right?
Hats off to us.
You just pop off your hair like
I'm
a
just
Lego
gonna
brick.
pop off my hair. It turns out I'm wearing a bald cap.
Wow.
Unfortunately,
Have you
it's real.
you've seen The Simpsons, right?
No.
Well, you know The Simpsons, right?
Yes.
Marge with her hair. I really like in the early seasons when she just reach in and pull some shit out of it.
Yeah.
It's like my favorite
That's what
thing.
happens to me. I'm just gonna reach in and pull out the. Oh, thank you guys so much for watching this wonderful episode, this wild ride.
The original show.
The original show, Dumb CreepCast.
Dumb CreepCast. Dumb CreepCast, trademarked. Nobody can take that.
Nobody copy us.
Those motherfuckers are getting sued into oblivion. We're taking them down. We're going to copyright strike every one of their videos because they pulled some shit and we're not happy about it. This is unethical.
Definitely.
Frankly, all art should hold an indefinite copyright and nobody should be able to steal anything ever. Fuck you.
Imagine having any similar concept and everything. All art should be completely unique and not be similar to anything that's ever created.
I love the world we live in where art is completely tied to monetization and everything is tied to corporate overlords. In fact, I hope Disney buys everything. I hope they buy the rights to your fucking life story.
Capitalism.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Capitalism.
Buy shit. Consume. You'll never be happy. You'll never be happy without this year's version of the thing that you like. Fuck you. Eat shit and die. See you next time.
You're ending a lot of these episodes with telling the viewers to eat shit and die.
Only 2.
Fuck up.
Only 2. And they're 2 parts of the same story, you know?
Fair.
So
Fair.
it's really only 1 episode.
We
But
don't
really,
love you. Don't listen
sincerely,
to Jibber.
especially you, Emily, who believes in fucking ghosts. Fuck you. Fuck you. I hope a ghost haunts your whole fucking family.
Hope you have a good rest of your day. if you want, subscribe or whatever. That would be really nice of you guys if you were to subscribe. You don't have to if you don't want to.
Please like and subscribe. Please make us YouTube famous. It's our dream, and we're really depressed people in real life. We're on the verge of killing ourselves, and we really need you
This
to
is
help us
why
out with this,
the genuine drinking habit. Like, we're being so drunk. I'm so drunk right now.
We're alcoholics. We are actively killing ourselves, not in Minecraft, just in real life. And we are going to die of depression. We're
going to die.
We're sad,
not gonna,
miserable people.
We're not going to kill ourselves. We're
Help
going
us.
to die of depression.
Help us. Help us.